So this problem is often asked in Amazon as an interview question. And the problem is essentially given a board of size m into n, you're supposed to search for a string inside of it and return true if the word exists and false if it doesn't exist. So there's an example of how we should be searching for the word. So essentially the direction you could move is horizontally or vertically, but not diagonally. And this is important when we start coding the solution. And also each letter may be used only once. So you cannot repeat the same letter twice inside of the board. So essentially the way we could solve it is using recursion. So first thing we are going to do is traverse the board and find if the first character of the word exists. So for example, here since the first character is A, we use that as a starting point, and then we try to find using recursion all possible paths that lead to the complete word. And yeah, so here's in this case we have to search for the first character S. And so yeah, let's first try coding the solution, and hopefully it'll be more clear if I start coding it. So first, but to traverse the board, we create two for loops. So for int, so j is less than, so this in the first one go the rows, here we go the columns. So first thing we'll search for is the first character, if it exists or not. If it exists, we are going to start calling the recursive function. So if, so we haven't coded this function yet, but I can tell you what we'll pass. We'll pass the input board, we'll pass the current row and column, and the word. Return true. If not, return false. So this occurs when there's no possible path to the finding the word. So now let's try coding the helper method. So again, we'll copy the same character with input. So first thing we need to find out what's the base case. The base case is in this. So I will start coding, but what I'm going to find is that we if the word to search for is like empty, then we return true. So if so in this case we have reached the end of the word. The other case we check is the row and the column. If I less than 0 or j less than 0 or I greater than equal to so this is a case where we have reached somewhere outside of the board, so we don't even need to consider looking for whether the word exists or not, so we return false. And the first condition, I think I should have explained it first. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to keep calling the substring method. So that way, if we have reached all the way to the end of the word, we know the word exists. So we're going to start coding that part. If else, if the word doesn't exist, let's just return false. So string So this is what I was trying to explain when I said a word equal to an empty string. So whenever the first character matches, we are going to call the substring method. And so what this essentially does is returns all the words after the first character. So in this case, if A exists, we now need to search for B, C, C, E, D. After we find B, we need to search for this. And we keep traversing inside of the board until we find it. Now actually I'm going to make an error which a lot of people I think, so I've been taking programming interviews, and a lot of candidates who ask this question, they make this error right now. So let me just show it to you. So I'm just going to copy it. So here we are, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to look at all the 4 directions. So I minus 1, either is I plus 1. So we are moving it horizontally, and here we are going to move it vertically. J minus 1. So yeah, usually this is the thing which most candidates make an error. Let's see if you spotted it. So you can see, right, it returned a wrong answer. So most people, I think, when they make this error, what they don't keep track of is you're supposed to use the same letter only once. So we cannot go do backtracking. So here it's a case where we are searching for it. So I think you're given a word here, A, B, C, V. So the word doesn't exist, but essentially what happens is we move down the first row and then we go back. So A, B, C, and then goes back to the first, second column again. So that way, although the word doesn't exist, we are returning true. And we should be able to handle this case. And a lot of candidates make this error where they assume that since I think it happens to people who memorize solutions before the interview without really understanding what's going on. So whenever we are using a word inside of that board, we need to mark it as used. So one way we could do is change the what the word is itself. Sorry, the character inside of that board is. So what you could do is I'll just set it to an empty character. So this is an example of what we could do. So here, character. So here first we are going to store that character separately, and then we are going to save an empty character in the current cell. So that way it won't get reused again. And now we need to do backtracking. So for that, let's first save the result in a boolean. Boolean exists. So whatever the value is there, we now store it into a boolean, and after it's complete, we revert the values back. And then we say return exists. So yeah, let's do a quick recap. So first thing we are doing is traversing the board to find if the first character in the word exists. So once we find it, we're now calling a recursive function to see the word exists. So here, if we have reached all the way to the end of the word, we are going to return true. If we reach some area outside of the board, we return false. And then we have to see if at the current cell, we have the first character in the word present. If it's true, first thing we do is we create a new word.substring1. So we're calling it recursively. So we remove the first character from the words and see if the remaining words exist. And here we are checking in all four directions. That's why we keep calling the OR conditions. And since we want to not use the same cell twice, we are marking the current cell as empty. So let's try running it again. And submit. So yeah.